Welcome back, everyone, to our kingdom building series from the Forever Bedrock SMP. Let's dive into those first steps right now with roads, seawalls, mob farms, and laying out your first villages. Let's get started. Roads and paths are the most logical place to begin once you've got your main layout because it helps you to connect some of your main areas together, which then will give you ideas for other builds that you should include. What we've done here is a main artery that's going to connect the lower village area, actually, to the main fortress area on two different sides. We've extended this main artery into the first village area as well, which will probably transition into a different path type once we get the village going. This gives us a good starting point for adding in features and builds along these roads to start shaping the kingdom even more than our initial layout. The cool thing about starting with roads and paths too is that these can always be changed as you make progress or get new inspiration for buildings to add while adding in the roads and paths themselves. For roads and paths, I like to try to have 3 different blocks in the palette to give the roads a little more realistic feel of having some wear or repairs having been done to them. We're using cobblestone, tuff, and gravel for this particular main path. I also like to add in the occasional stair block as a pothole to give a little bit more of a natural, imperfect look to the overall feel. I also like to change the paths and roads, like I mentioned, in the different areas of the kingdom, as we'll be doing in upcoming episodes as we get to them. The main fortress area should definitely have a bit of different look to it as far as the roads and paths there than the main village roads do. And also, as we get farther out from the main areas, those roads and paths are going to be a little less defined and a little less structured than these are to give the overall feel a bit more realism as you move into the more rustic and rural areas of the kingdom. This will also add some contrast between the different areas of the kingdom itself. Before we continue with the next steps, we want to hear from you guys. What part of your kingdom are you most excited to build? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Next up, let's talk about seawalls. One of the main focal points aside from the fortress of California is going to be the port. Seawalls are a cool way to add some detail and some significance to make the port look as important to the kingdom as it should be, versus just leaving the Minecraft shoreline as it is. We're going here with a combination of the seawalls of gravel, cobblestone, and andesite to again have a little bit of variation to the wall that makes it look both intentionally built but also natural at the same time. We came back after the main walls were completed and added in some spruce pilings that our walkways will attach to. And then we added in some bollards of stone brick with a cobblestone wall block on top and lanterns on top of that. These lanterns will not only light the area up, but they'll also provide mob proofing as we build up and complete the docks all the way through. We're even toying around with adding in the new large clay pot block, as you see here in some of the areas, as places for ships to tie off. I'm not exactly sure how I like those there yet. Leave us a note in the comments what you think of these. Curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on that little detail. With some of our infrastructure now in the works, it's time to ensure that we have a reliable way to get XP and the ability to repair tools, because we are going to be putting a lot of wear and tear on our tools building an entire kingdom. And so will you. And there's no better way to do this than a general mob farm. This will be our source for both, and a great source too for gunpowder to keep up with the rockets that we'll be using throughout the kingdom build. We're using a design that I like that's from Slack Lizard from Truly Bedrock, which is a 6-layer general purpose mob farm that eliminates the spiders from the mix by using buttons on the spawn platforms. It's got a trident killer at the bottom and a super basic collection system here because we really aren't after any of the drops other than the gunpowder. Main purpose here is totally for mending of tools and XP as needed. Now, to truly have a kingdom, you need a thriving community, not just a fortress or castle. This is where villages, blacksmith shops, stables, farmhouses, and barns, etc. come into play. Based on the theme and time period of your kingdom, you'll want to pick out a couple of block palettes for those. We've chosen to make the main lower village houses all very similar to the style of our main storage building. Let's go ahead and walk through and build one of the house designs that we'll be using as a bit of the template for this main lower village here by the dock. We're using a 5x5 system, as you kind of see here. We basically have 2 5x5s on one side and then a 5x5 off the left. So what we're going to go ahead and do here, we've got our main pillar support blocks in here, the stone brick. We are going to go ahead and pillar up with spruce columns for all of the main structural beams. We're going to go up 5 high with these. And once all of our spruce columns are up to 5, we're going to go ahead and connect all the tops with oak log. Once all the oak logs are in place, we are going to come across with a layer of spruce slabs. That way, from the outside and the front and side, you're actually going to see half of the oak log under the spruce slab. It'll give a little bit of a nice contrast to it. And this will also set us up for a simple, easy, quick, fast, flat roof that we'll put on last. And now that that is done, we are going to come in and put all of our walls in. Our walls are going to be stripped oak logs. And again, this is mostly so that it contrasts really well with the spruce. We're actually going to strip all of the spruce log supports also. And it's just a kind of a color palette that we think works really well. So we're going to go ahead and fill in all the walls with stripped oak here, and then we're going to come back in just a moment and get our windows and such in. Now that we have all of our logs basically stripped, except for a few here and there, we're going to go ahead and knock out for our windows. We're going to make all the windows 3 high because at the top we're going to put in an inverted stair, and then we'll have a little bit of a fence post and trap door at the bottom, which gives a kind of a cool look for a window design that's a little bit different than some you may have seen. Now, with all of our windows in place, we are going to put a little bit of a decorative rim around here underneath the what you would consider the soffit or fascia of the spruce half slabs. We're going to go ahead and use spruce fence. Again, this is just to give a little bit of contrast between the stripped oak of the walls and the stripped spruce of the main supports. So we're going to go ahead and go around the whole build like this here, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to double up some of those half slabs from the bottom. Doing this along with the spruce fence posts up at the top there adds a little bit of depth and a little bit more for your eye to look at on what is actually really a fairly simple design. Don't ever forget or underestimate that a simple look can often be the best. And getting close to our final steps here, we're going to go ahead and alternate some stone brick slabs and stone slabs at the corners for our foundation. And again, this is just something that gives a little bit more depth and contrast to the build. And when it's all pieced together, it comes out looking really cool. Now, next, let's go ahead and add in some flooring. We're going to go ahead and chop out all of this layer here. We're going to put some holes in one level deeper so that we can put some torches, because we're going to use slabs for most of the floor. And that way it gives us a little bit of light in here without having to worry about putting lanterns or anything like that in place. We can put those in, of course, if we want, but at least the house is actually already going to be lit up from this to keep it mob-proof. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is we are going to do a border of oak log that we are going to strip once we get it all in. And then we are going to fill in the rest with spruce slabs. And that should give us a pretty good look for the floor. Again, you know, just for video purposes, this is going to be a pretty basic one. We might go back and put a lot more details into some of these later. But of course, that's going to be at the end of the whole build of the kingdom itself, before we really start worrying about interiors too much. Getting pretty close to the end here. Let's go ahead and put a couple of little decorative elements here at the front entrance area. We don't want to get too carried away and over detail things, so we'll just keep things simple here. A couple little trapdoors, and then now let's go ahead and get into the roof and get this thing dialed in. And as I mentioned earlier on in the video, we are just going to go with a flat roof for the roof design. Not all of them will have this, but for this particular build, we're going to go with that. We're just going to go ahead with spruce slabs for the flat roof. And that is going to bring this house to completion as soon as we get all these slabs in place. And with that, our flat roof is done. Let's go ahead and take a fly out here and get a good look at what we've accomplished.
Did you know 99% of the people watching this video are unsubscribed? Subscribe now!
Well, I sure didn't know that, Lunar. Thank you. Let's go ahead after that and get a good look here. And here you go, guys. Our house is complete. Our iron golem approves. that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for watching, and if you did enjoy the tips or you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. We appreciate that immensely. Don't forget also to check out all the other Forever Bedrockers who play on this world with me in Lunar. Till the next time, in the next kingdom building episode, we'll see you all later, everyone. Take it easy.